Hola y bienvenidos al repaso breve del pretérito. Hello, I'm Senora Stanius. Welcome to your brief review of the preterite tense in Spanish. We're going to be using both the chart that has the preterite on one side and the imperfect forms on the other, as well as the one that gives you the uses of both the preterite and the imperfect side by side. Right now we're looking at simply the preterite, so we want to be able to use this tense correctly in Spanish to talk about events that happened in the past. We're going to look at this at what is ICMAD, ICMAD. Cuando se usa? Interruption is the first use for the preterite tense, so the interruptions that happening in an event in the past, such as ellos bailaban cuando de repente la música terminó. Countable actions like ellos bailaron una noche. A moment specific in the past, ellos bailaron a las 7:30 el viernes, hace 2 semanas. A for action that is completed or a series of events, again in the past. Ella supo que él quiso llamarla el otro día. Ellos se vistieron, salieron y fueron al baile. And finally, D for description or events that are ended in the past. El baile fue divertido. Starting with our AR endings, these are the regular AR tense endings. In that box, you should fill in those forms. So yo, tú haste, él, ella, usted, o, nosotros hamos, vosotros hasteis, ellos, ellas, ustedes harán. And note where your accents are. Here's an example with hablar. Hablé, hablaste, habló, hablamos, hablasteis, hablaron. Our ER ending verbs, you will see them here with our example, comer, comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comisteis, comieron. Also, once again, remember to stop this podcast as needed in order to fill in your chart as we go along, as I do realize I am going quickly. Our IR verb endings, on your chart in front of you, you'll see they're together. Why is that? Because they are the same. So, escribí, escribiste, escribió, escribimos, escribisteis, escribieron. This concludes our regular preterite endings, and now we need to turn our attention to the irregulars. So here we go. First, we have the set that are irregulars only in the yo form in the preterite tense. We call those, for lack of more creative and terminology, the car, as in a verb like sacar, so it's saqué, Q-U-E. Here are some others, explicar, buscar. Then we have our gar ending verbs, and you'll see such as jugar, so it's jugué with the G-U-E with an accent, or pagar is another example. And then we have our zar ending verbs, where it becomes empecé, C-E with an accent. Another example, almorzar. Then we have our third person irregulars. So these are the verbs that only have a stem change in the third person in the preterite. These are on your chart as well. You'll see like dormir, durmió, durmieron, morir, murió, murieron, servir, sirvió, sirvieron, pedir, pidió, pidieron. You'll notice these are the IR stem changing verbs. I have a group that I call on your page a super Y. They only add the Y in the third person, again singular and plural, in the preterite, such as leyó, leyeron, construyó, construyeron, oyó, oyeron. You'll see that we have put ir and ser together on your chart because they are conjugated the same. And how do we know which meaning is to be the one in English? Of course, we know by context. So, yo fui, tú fuiste, él, ella, usted fue. Nosotros fuimos, vosotros fuisteis. ellos, ellas, ustedes fueron. And notice there are no accents. I do put dar and ver together on your chart, again, not because they're identical, but because they're very similar. So you have with dar, diste, dio, dimos, distes, dieron. Ver, vi, viste, vio, vimos, vistes, vieron. Now we have a group that are all kind of grouped together because of the way that they are irregular. First we have the J verbs, and as I put on the bottom, notice there are no accents. So here are the bases for those J verbs. And I've given you one example with traer. So traje, trajiste, trajo, trajimos, trajisteis, trajeron. And notice there is a star by the third person plural because this one you drop the I. With those J verbs, there is no I in the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. Again, no accents. Then we have our U verbs. And here again are the bases of these U verbs. Some of the most common ones. Again, this is not a complete list, but I have taken tener to show you how to conjugate these. So it's tuve, tuviste, tuvo, tuvimos, tuvisteis, tuvieron. Again, there are no accents. Finally, we have the last group that we call the I verbs. Some common irregulars. You'll notice that with hacer, I've put a little star because that el, ella, usted form is also irregular within the spelling change that happens. So it's hizo for them. But for the rest of them, they're like querer, venir. You have quise, quisiste, quiso, quisimos, quisisteis, quisieron. You can see that that S doesn't change for querer in the preterite. And of course, again, there are no accents. Finally, I just have listed a few key words that are signals to us that when we see them, we should think ding, ding, ding. Preterite is needed with these kinds of words. So anoche, anteayer, ayer, de repente, desde, hasta, pasado, el año pasado, una vez, and ya. And there you have it. That is the end of the brief preterite review. Make sure you take notes. Make sure you fill in the Google forms that you will find below this podcast. And be sure and ask me any other questions that might have come up if you, when you see me in class the next day. Gracias.